Good to have you back.
Morning. Give them all a minute to come on.
Yeah.
Hi guys. Good morning. Hold on.
How are we doing?
Hello.
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Not
Me.
bad. The 1st of April. This isn't a
Yeah.
joke, I promise.
How's the weather down there? You got nice weather?
Not today. We did have yesterday, but not today. It's not quite so nice today.
Freezing up here. Oh, it's not warm up here. I think it's going to snow.
Oh,
Shirts, no jacket, short sleeve shirts, walking around in the streets this morning.
yeah,
Jack.
that's because you're from up north, Ray. That wouldn't happen.
It's so warm down here all the time. I'm always in short sleeves. And the winter doesn't start until November.
Whereabouts in Scotland are you from?
I have to say, between Mulgai and Maryhill, and then my twang came from working in Edinburgh for 7 years, and then I had a house in Inverberg as well. So I had a house in Inverberg for 20 odd years, but I was from Glasgow, we'll say, and then I worked in Edinburgh, then I went to Malaysia and to Sheffield and then down here.
Thank you. We'll have to cut this bit of the video because I can't understand a word.
Well, when I get home, I talk about this, but nobody understands it when I didn't do here, so I just didn't do it anymore.
Anyway,
Can you hear me?
This is Richard Clements. Richard's one of the directors. Alan Ward, he's the area sales manager. And I'm the managing director. I'm John Clements. There's another guy on board. Where's Mark? Mark's the other area sales manager. So he should be popping up somewhere.
Fab. So what we'll do is we will just let all the stragglers come in, and I know for all those of you that have been on before, we'll mute everyone as normal. So the way that it'll work is we'll mute everyone, we'll introduce everyone, we'll let everyone know what this morning is all about, and then we'll let Ray do his stuff. Just have a quick overview again of what the SmartMister is and what it does, and then we'll launch the reseller program if that's all right with everyone. So Stuart will start muting everybody now. That's all right, Stuart.
Oh, you have. So you're happy enough.
We'll get started.
Yeah, we're happy enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Can I see you, Tony?
You send the new machine in the standby.
Not
Cool. Okay.
Yes.
That's fab. So this morning is all about the launch of the SmartMister Reseller Program, and pretty much this has been put in place to make sure that all the resellers have got all the tools that they need to be able to help them to continue to sell the product into their customers and to new customers and existing customers. So I'll just introduce us both again if you don't know who we are. So I'm Becky Bowers and I'm the Northern Sales Manager here at Data Direct. Stuart's going to be doing the admin over in, well, I would say you're in, but he's actually at home today. And then we've got Ray, then we've got Ray, who's down south, who's our Chief Technical Officer and the inventor of the SmartMister. So we'll just do the usual. We'll just do a brief overview and a recap for everybody on what the machine is, and we'll do a few questions, and then we'll go through the reseller program and open up for any questions that you guys have. Over to you, Ray.
Okay, is my microphone on because the symbol says muted?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, it just popped up saying muted for some reason. SmartMister is a device that we try and copy nature, we mimic nature, and we effectively create the same as sea air. So when the Victorians say go to the seaside because it's good for your health, there's good reasons for it. And what happens is that we take HOCL, which is the chemical liquids found in your body. So if you accidentally cut your hands, basically HOCL rushes out of your system, we produce it in our skin and pituitary gland, and it then attacks infections like bacteria, funguses, and viruses. So it's built into humans. It's what we use to fight infections. We mimic that and copy it. Take it from the bottle, put it into this unit, and then in the unit, the back of it, we take air in through an activated carbon filter and a HEPA filter. And the HEPA filter is 8 microns. We suck air in through the back. It goes into a circulation chamber that spins around, hits a UVC light, it sterilizes the air that's in there. This removes big particle sizes and dust and mites and things. Once it's gone in there, it then spins round, hits an ultrasonic atomizer, and then we convert the liquid into a gas. We have an ionizer, deionizer, so bipolar ionization tool, and we ionize the gas from there. And then we adopt it into a gas, and effectively it converts the liquid to a gas, and the gas is 5 microns thick, so it's incredibly thin, and so thin that it'll actually get into the grain of glass and into the grain of the plastic of your mouse, and it'll sterilize whatever's there, and it will last in that area for quite a long time. So if I turn the unit on, there's a little sensor on the back that determines the temperature of the room, the humidity of the room, and then that's working out how much of this mist that it has to give to the room. It's very difficult to see, unfortunately, at the moment, because it's worse. It's building up and it's working out with the room. So the mist is coming out, and then that spreads into the air, and basically as it does, it attaches itself to pollens, funguses, spores, effectively eats them from the inside, and then they fall to your deck and you wipe them off with a cloth, and you've got a sterile environment. And if you can see it coming out now, yeah. And basically for us, we can stick it in our eyeballs, we can breathe it in, it doesn't bother us, it just makes us healthier, and it kills all the viruses and pathogens, and makes your skin soft if you do this to it. So that's the box, spreads through the air, lands on surfaces, sanitizes the surface. It does that to a bunch of European and British standards. And basically there's a standard saying that the surface is clean enough to manufacture food on, or it's clean enough to do surgical work. And then there's another one coming out that is saying that it's clean enough to sanitize the air and surfaces from an automated system. But it sanitizes to quite a high level. It remains on the surface for a long time afterwards. This
is something that's different to what a lot of people have. There's a lot of people that claim to do a lot of things, but actually none of them claim to do the kind of standards that ours lives up to, that we've proved that it does.
No, it's taken a lot to get standards, and then there's an app to control it, to turn it on and off as well, so that we can control multiple units from one site. So right now, this mist is, you won't see it on the camera, but it's everywhere. It only takes a few minutes. And then we'll talk about this a bit later, but we've got a particle sensor that effectively this number will show you how much of it is in the air. And if it's over a certain amount, it's at the legal limit of cleaning surfaces or in the air system. So it's pretty good. Anyway, waffling.
Cool. So what is the difference between this then and say, for example, fogging?
Foggers are, I've got a big fogger here. So a fogger is generally a wet device. So you've got a tank full of liquid. Normally the liquids are poisonous liquids to humans. So when you're fogging, you would go into a room. So they're a destructive technology. You go into a room and basically you'll turn on an air pressure system, or you'll turn on a pump that pushes out a wet substance. And that detergent will cover everything. And then the idea is that you go around with a cloth and wipe it all off, and a dehumidifier, and suck the moisture out. But you'd have to remove books, you'd have to tape up your computers, tape up doors and windows as well, so it doesn't get out of the room. And then you've got things like the person has to wear PPE, and you've got a settle time. So normally you need to let it settle for 24 hours before you can occupy the room again. Whereas this is an automated misting machine. Foggers are about 16 microns, so they're wet and sit on your hands. And this is 5, so it actually goes into the grain of your skin and the grain of your desk. So this is a dry system, the foggers are wet, and this is inexpensive, and the foggers are expensive, and they're destructive, and this is not. So roughly.
So talking about it being non-disruptive, whereas with a fogging machine, if a school was to use a fogging machine, they'd go in, do all the fogging, come out, and then they wouldn't be able to go in for another day, etc. Whereas with this, you could pretty much hot desk a school. So a class of school kids come in, they do the lesson, and the SmartMister can come in, sanitize all the surfaces, and then the next class can go in?
Yeah, you would. So in a fogging scenario, you get a track and trace thing. So if somebody says on the track and trace database that you need to close down because little Joey's got a virus and then Agnes has got a virus, 2 people have got it from the same place, then basically you've got to close down, and then you're legally supposed to do a deep clean. And a deep clean means that you've got to prove that there's a 73% reduction in the, it's hard to explain, but the ATP, the life force of viruses and other things. So you get a swab on the desk before, and then basically you take that number, and then you do a swab after you've cleaned, and if it's 73% or above reduction in the crap that was on there, then you're legally allowed to open. So the fogging is one of the only ways you used to have in the past of doing that, because even running around with microcloth and bleach doesn't kill things. You miss so much. So this one is, you could, if you told the track and trace close down, you can wheel this on a trolley. You can turn it on at a classroom with 32 people and 2 teachers. Victorian classrooms, about 15 minutes. You run this for 15 minutes, leave the room to settle for about 10, 15 minutes. And then after that, you can move people back in, and that's it. So you basically get shut for half an hour to an hour. So what you normally do is do classroom 1, and then when the kids are in classroom 2, then move them into classroom 1, and then do classroom 2, and then move them into classroom 3, 4, and just keep moving it along.
Okay.
And you get around that.
Cool. And I think this is really important at the moment, because it does feel like talking to dealers, talking to friends, talking to relatives, that actually business is starting to think about going back to work. And whether COVID's around or not, going back to work means that actually there's a chance of people getting norovirus, all different kinds of various things. So actually, this would rectify that as well.
Yeah, it even removes pollen out of the air in mushroom spores. If you put an apple on a desk, that won't rot for a long time. That's why they use it in food production, and like Sainsbury's put it on their apples and things. But yeah, it stops norovirus. It even kills the hard one, the herpes virus. But yes, it's anything that's harmful to mammals. This is what we have in our immune system. It's just super boosted. So instead of having a small percentage of it, you've got an overwhelming percentage of it, and that basically kills viruses on contact. So if I take a bleach and I squirt, if my phone, I've got a virus on my hands and I rub it there and hold it for a bit, and I transfer the virus on here, they'll live in that for about 3 hours. If I squirt it with bleach, the virus will still be living for, roughly speaking, 3 to 6 minutes. If I squirt it with this, so right now, if a virus lands on it, it would die on contact because it's in the air. But if I squirt it with this, then if a virus lands on this now, it will die on contact. So 15th of 1 second, it dies. And that's not just the SARS virus, that's all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can basically squirt that on, use it as hand sanitizer, you can stick it in your mouth, etc. Yeah, it's good for humans, it just helps our immune system.
I knew that squirt in the mouth was coming.
Yeah, so that was maybe a bit too wet, but yeah.
Brilliant. So if we move on to the next of the range then on the SmartMister, just to see what just so that we can outline the range of machines that we've got at the moment.
Yeah. So we've got the big unit that does a full size office. So this will do an office from about 4 people to about 60 people's worth in space. Yeah. And it does it in an automated way with an app that you can turn on and off and set it for certain days and do a deep clean one day, incremental cleans the other day. But it's got a mains cord on it, and that mains cord means that you need to plug it into something, so it's harder to pick up and move to go to places. So we do another one which has basically got a lithium battery in it, and this one you can take in a toilet with you and you can put in a small meeting room. So if you've got you're about to run some sort of little meeting with 4 people in the room, you can take this in, leave it in there for 2 to 3 minutes before you start the meeting, and then if you looked at the particle sensor, if that number's above 47, you can go into the room and it's good to go. So this one, a little battery, we call this SmartMister 500, so 500 milliliters desktop version. and that will sit on your toilet, or it will sit in a meeting room and you can carry it around with you. And then there's one for a moving car as opposed to a stationary car. So there's basically another one that you can put in a car if you're car sharing. So put this in, turn the ignition on, it turns on. It then works with the ventilation system of your car to circulate it around. So there's filters in your car that will suck this out and put bits back in. So it does. This comes out at a different rate from that. And this one doesn't have a battery. This one runs off the car, and this one taking toilet. And that's those two in the moment. There's more to come that fit bigger rooms and in between smaller rooms for like a domestic environment. And there's ones to do big offices and things coming in the future. But we're just going through all the certifications and things for that.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, this initially, but you know, the SmartMister, the idea of it was, you know, when COVID initially happened, we knew what happened to which is our main industry, which is the print market. We knew that overnight the majority of our dealers were going to lose half of the business. I mean, some dealers still aren't even up to, you know, 50% of what they were pre-COVID. So the whole point of what the SmartMister was to bring them extra revenue, a new machine, a new range of machines to get them moving forward. We did not realise, I mean, I don't even think you did, Ray, that actually how much this range would take off. And now it has become an actual range rather than just a machine. And you know, it's something that we're really proud of, and this isn't the end of it. And that's the reason why we're trying to make sure that we get the reseller side of it right, and move forward, because this is going to be something ongoing for all of us, and not only obviously with the COVID thing, but actually, you know, when it becomes the full range that it will be, it's all add-ons to the SmartMister range for you. So it's all extra business for you guys, but at the same time, obviously, keeping your customers safe.
And because of the COVID thing, because most countries have now employed a task team to make sure that they're prepared for outbreaks like this again, like they have in China. So there's things like the well-being standard that comes into effect this year, and then there's a Clean Air Act that comes in, and they're going to state that if you have more than 16 people in one building, you'll legally have to prove the quality of the air and make sure there's no pathogens and things, and you've not given someone viruses. So there's going to be legislation that comes out in the next couple of years that will dictate that you'll have to have something running like this one, something over the door, and then sensors that actually tell you what's going on. So there are a bunch of standards that it will mean that people will be taking these sort of things forward.
Well, and again, that's just the thing about the effort that's gone into this range from us, well, from Ray more than anybody else, on getting it up to these standards. You know, we're already working on that, on the clean air, you know, the EN standards, etc., have already been done. There is no other company that can prove all these kind of things to say that actually it's safe to be there.
Now, we've been doing Innovate UK projects and doing some other projects where we've been recording data, because government departments want at least a year's data. You know, we started this last May, so it'll be this May onwards we'll be able to start to publish things and talk about it. But we've got things like the cost reports and safety documents that go to ambulance service and fire brigades and things. And, you know, that's thousands of pounds worth of information, but that means that you can, you know, a fire brigade that goes in at 2 o'clock in the morning because someone's, you know, left, it's running at 2 in the morning, fire goes off, they don't know if that's a dodgy chemical or not. So this is registered with the fire brigade, it's registered with ambulance service, and it's got all these different British standards against it, nearly 14, but relevant ones is about 6. But, you know, we've gone through all the standards and testing to get it. And that's a lot of work. That's taken a lot of months.
Well, absolutely. So just to reiterate then, so we've got obviously the big main machine that is your deep sanitisation of any office or building.
Yep.
We've then got the mini desktop one, which is for something like in here, because we use it when we're having a meeting to make sure that, so your own personal space, as it were.
Yeah, generally does 4 meters run about you, 4 meters squared kind of thing. So a small office with, you know, 3-4 people kind of thing.
Yeah.
In the one enclosed space, it'll do as well.
And then the little car one is specifically for a car.
Yeah. If you're in a van that's got like 6 people in it or a minibus, you're better with this one. And if you're in a domestic car with 2 to 5 people in it, then this one. They give out different amounts of mist in a slightly different way as well. So, and this is designed to work with a car's ionic system as well. So if you compare the two way mist comes out in both of them, yeah, they look quite different as well. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but they come out very different. Yeah, they work in a slightly different way. So that one goes in a car, and you can turn it on continuously, or you can have it so that it turns on and off. And basically, you know, if you're doing a journey of half an hour or 2 hours, it'll turn on, off. And this one, you can do something similar. It will turn to half the setting, so it's on, off as well. And this one, you plug it in a car's USB, and then you can still plug a USB device into it. So there's a socket that allows you to plug your phone in to charge up. It just takes power through.
So the 2 other products that we've got at the moment as well, one's the particle sensor. What does that do?
So this one is, think of it as a sales tool or a pre-sales tool. A dealer would take this and you would put this machine into an office and say the office was something that has about 30 people in it. Put this in wherever you think you want to place the machine, and in the user manual we tell you how to place it, what to put it next to, what to keep it away from, what etc., and how to use it. So put that wherever you think is right. And then if you turn this on, you'll see the number there is about, say, 2 to 3 on the dial. Turn this on at the far end, and then count how many minutes until this gets to above 144. And that tells you in minutes. That times 3 tells you in minutes how long you need to leave this on. But you can walk around with this in the building and go, yes, it's reaching here, and it's beyond the government level of sanitizing the surface. I will, you know, open the toilet door. Oh, it's actually got into the toilet. I didn't expect it to. And then go into different rooms and check that it's actually reaching all of the premises. And that way, you know, if you only need to buy 1 of these, or if you need to buy 3 of these to do a space. Yeah. So it's a tool to do that. And then it's also a way to demonstrate to the person you're selling it to, look, you can't see this in the air right now, but that's gone above, you know, we're at the limits now. So that number is saying that it's sanitizing everything that's in the air and the surfaces on here, and it's got to us within 3 minutes. So although we're recommending you leave this on for 20 minutes at night, right now, you know, it's 3 minutes and it's actually got there. It's, you know, it's working. So they go, well, I can't smell it, I can't taste it. It's not irritating my eyes, it's not doing anything different, but it's, you know, it's got to the level it's working. So they get reassurance. So you buy 1 of these and you show it to the customer and they go, oh, wow, that's working really quick. Mm-hmm. And then when you turn this off, the next thing you notice is next morning, everything smells fresh. It smells like seaside air. Yeah, and the sea surface in there, we create an aerosol in the air with it. It just smells like seaside.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it's for. It's to show exactly where the mist is getting to, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's to do. It's not really for anything else other than that, to actually, right, okay, to prove where it's getting to and whether or not you need any other machine. So that's what the particle sensor is for. So probably you would only need 1 per salesperson or something like that for when they're going out to demonstrate to customers to show where they need it. Then we've also got the other testing, which is the one where we managed to get a pub in Scotland reopened within an hour, which is the actual proper testing.
So you can do, so in the cardboard box, or we might send these out separate for those that want them. We've got an ATP test, which is, so if you look to see recommendations, and you look on YouTube, you'll see the NHS effectively run these ATP tests. So that's how they test to find out if a ward or a corridor or a toilet is safe for people to occupy. So they do a swab test. And what they do is that we give you these stickers, and the stickers are an exact size. You put that over a door or you put it on a desk, and you keep this in the same place all the time, never moves around. And then basically in the track and trace database, what you do is if you're told that you need to close down or you want to keep an insurance document up to say that you've been keeping your sanitation levels up, so you do a methodology where you record every day you've ran this. So you use the app to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's an incremental clean, and then on Saturday it's a deep clean, and you record that. You can then do a test, which you take one of these, same as the NHS do, and then swab in an area of here, yeah, and turn this around, etc. You then take that, break the vial, shake it like a madman, and send this back to us or an independent lab, or buy one of the portable machines that links to a national database. Click that, and then basically it'll give you a score, and it's just open or close type score. It's just you passed or failed. You then connect that up into a piece of software that costs a lot of money, or you use the government's one, but then they know your data if you do that. And basically it goes pass or fail, and that will tell you what the score is, and then you can put it into a lab report and it tells you how much life force there is. So we do a test that says, right, I've scanned my school or my office, the number was 800 and something, and you're trying to get down to a number of about 100 and something, so you failed. And then you run SmartMister, let it settle for 20 minutes, an hour, whatever time you decide, and then basically wipe the surface with microcloth again, and then do a swab on it. You do with microcloth so that you've proved that it's in the grain of the thing, because you need to prove 100 touches. So if that's a light switch, you've got to prove that you can touch it 100 times, and it doesn't wipe off. And then that gives you a score, and if that's 73% and above, better than it was, you can legally open your premises again. So it's a shortcut to satisfy an insurance company that you can basically be open. You would only do it when you're either trying to keep on top of it, like the NHS have to do, or you've been legislated into, if I don't do this, I'm closed down for 3 days. If I do this, I can open up 15, 20 minutes after I've done this. So it's a great thing for that, to do swab tests. And then you just swab these areas. And then we've got little stickers that you can write on the date that it was done or put into a book.
So we've got the particle sensor that is just showing where it's going. It's not a proof like the testing is, but it's showing where it's getting to. And then you've got the swab that proves to insurance level, actually, this is what it's done. We can reopen.
Yeah, so you could either say, well, we've done the ISO and BS tests and accreditations, and go through the pain of doing those, and you believe that, or if you're skeptical about whether you believe this works or not, you can literally do your own test, and then that proves that the microbial levels on it are you made a reduction to it. So you can do if you don't believe the standards that we've achieved, you can read the these different standards that are on there. You can either go, yes, they've achieved that. You can, we can show the dealers the certificates. We've got a folder with certificates in them for it. We can't give you those out for lots of legal reasons, but we can show you them, and we can show them in a webcam, got them, and you can look up a national database of them. But if they don't believe that, we can literally do it themselves. And doing it themselves also means that you can open a premises up quicker as well, if you're a large premises.
Brilliant. So I think that kind of gives you all a brief overview, because most of you have been on here before, again, of the range that we've got at the moment, and hopefully the new range going forward. So as far as the reseller program is concerned, the reason why we're doing this mainly was originally the plan was to try and support obviously as many dealers as we could, to try and help them get their businesses back going by selling SmartMister. What we don't want to do going forward is have people being able to just offer these things on eBay as a one-off kind of product. So this is the reason why we've launched the reseller program, so that it's you guys signing up to say that you want to sell the SmartMister range and you want to do well with it, but also us signing up to you guys as well. So helping you guys to find your pain points, as far as if you're struggling to sell into certain areas. If you become a reseller, you will have access to Ray, You will have access to being able to do the webinars like we've done today. You will also have supported pricing and access to webinar training for your customers as well. So the reseller program is pretty much like any other reseller program in the fact that sign up to it and you get all these extra bits. Whereas if you don't, then actually somebody who is going to put it on eBay or whatever, just as a one-off, will not get that kind of backup. You know, you have to sign up to be a reseller to get all this. The other thing that we're going to be giving for the reseller program as well is a free one of these to everybody. And the reason why we're going to do that, I know that there might be a couple of people that aren't necessarily from the industry on here, is for you guys to give to one of your engineers to go on site, and when he's working on a machine, on a copier, to have this running at the side of him so that it's keeping him safe while he's working on a machine, but also advertising a product that you guys are looking to sell. Because we all know that there's no better salesperson than an engineer without even realizing that he's done it. So yeah, that's the plan, is when you guys sign up to be a reseller, you will get one of these free, but it is for you guys to try and keep your engineers safe. Now, if you guys want to get all your engineers one, then obviously you're more than welcome to do that. But we are going to give everybody who signs up to be a reseller one of these to help them do that. The one thing that we won't do is talk about pricing on here. You will get all that sent across to you via email, and you can speak to your account manager about that. But what we will do is open up to everybody now to see if they've got any questions about the range and just anything else. So we'll open that up for everyone now, if that's okay, Stuart.
Yep, bear with me.
Is that all right with you, Ray?
Yep. And there's a little poster that comes with that you put on a desk that says, you put on a counter or a desk, these premises and staff are being protected.
Yeah.
With this, which mine's missing. That's why I keep looking around, because it's moved.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much. So very interesting. Are they manufactured in the UK?
I'll call it assembled in the UK. The plastic comes from China. The transducers come from Japan. The electronics come from us. We make it. And some of the other bits are here, and some of the bits are France. So we buy components in, and then we build it here. So we can say it's assembled in Britain, but the components are from all around the place. So it's I can't say it's made in Britain. It's assembled in Britain. But the electronics and the design of the transducer, etc., are our designs. Yeah, we did it as an Innovate UK project for something we exported to Singapore a long time ago. So that is, we're in control of it.
What is the weight of that unit? What does it weigh?
4.6 kilograms.
6 kilos. Wow.
And obviously with the add 5 kilos to it when it's full of liquid. So when you're putting that in,
yeah.
That one is 51 grams, and then you add 500 millilitres of liquid to it, if you want the weight of that to carry.
No, you know, I'd love for one day for someone to be able to catch you out, but you can't even catch you out with weights, can you? You're literally down to 1 gram.
So on the label, I actually state the weight of the complete consignment weight and everything on it. So, yeah,
Wow.
I have weight limits.
It's for moving it about, you know what I mean? Because would that do 50 square metres in an office? Yeah.
Yes, it will. So it's the government standard that was out last year was only for 40 square metres, and that's based on still cubic meters at the end of it, but it was 40 square metres based on a ceiling height between 2.35 and 3.5 metres tall. And then the standards changed, and so this will do in the standard 110 square metres at up to 3.5 metres ceiling height and a couple of open doors and windows, etc. It'll do slightly more than that, but there's certain bits of it that you'd run around with this and it'd be missing. It wouldn't do to the right standard. So at 100% efficiency, it'll do 110 square metres. It'll do 160 square metres to government standards. Yeah, but the government standard's not that great actually. But to do it properly, 110 square metres at bad conditions, that's dirty conditions. So that's microbials on the hands, touching desks and feet on carpet. In a clean room where you've already sanitized it, it will do 160 square meters. But the worst case scenario where it's all dirty and children are bringing school in with dirt on their feet and dirt on the hands, yeah, 110.
How many have you sold in the UK so far?
Well, at the moment, between them all, I think we're well into the thousands now, which is absolutely fabulous news. I don't think we expected to be anywhere. I think at the beginning we kind of thought of it as being something that we would start doing as, an almost a little side project, but actually, and it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're actually selling them by the pallet. So it's not just, one machine here and there, they are actually going out as pallets. So yeah, in different countries as well. I think the thing is as well, that's another point to the reseller thing. We've done this for you guys to get behind, and to actively push as something for it was for the copier industry to start with. However, if it's something that actually, it's going to be something that you put on eBay or something like that, it's never going to work for you. To sell it properly, you have to actually sell the machine and go out there and talk to customers. And that's what, these guys that we've now got it. There's at least 2 or 3 leasing companies that are now accepting it as a lease product as well. So I think it's Siemens and Grenke are the 2 that are doing it. So, it's really taken off. And like I say, the whole range that is in the background that Ray's working on, including these, it's just all extra add-ons. And this is something that, like I say, is going forward, is going to be a forever thing.
Okay, see if you mentioned the leasing there. Are they doing it over 3 years or 5 years?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think if you have a word, because I know most people have got reps from Siemens and Grenke. I'm not 100% sure, but I could find out for you.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
You can extend it to 5, but the default one's 3.
Okay.
So the default's 3, and we do the version with a leasing version of this with a 3-year warranty, and has a maintenance kit so that you can maintain it and clean it, and on the leasing version.
Ray, how often does it need? I see the different filters on it, and it says possibly a factory refit of a transducer outside warranty. Obviously, has there been any issues like that with any of them so far? Any teething problems?
So this unit is made for Middle Eastern and Japanese hotels to add humidification. That's where it starts life, and it has a 5-year mean time to breakdown on that. The filter on the back of it, which are roughly speaking, I'm not supposed to mention pricing, but they're really cheap. They're not a problem. Yeah, they are good for 30 to 50,000 litres of air going through it, depending on how dirty it is. Yep, so at least 30,000. So that's a good 3 to 5 years easily on these. Inside there's another filter, and that should be good for about 8 years. It's pretty hard to damage that, but if you change it, they're literally about £3 as part of the maintenance thing. The transducer is a 15 to 25 year ceramic transducer from Panasonic. They're really reliable. They're used in submarines, and they just don't break. Just don't break. The only thing is that if you don't maintain it, there's a gasket seal inside, but after, I don't know how many years, but I'm expecting about 5 years will basically go. You'll have to, if you maintain it, it's okay. If you don't, I think it will break 3 to 5 years.
Will changing the filters, look, I suppose taking the principle of with a car, will changing it more often prolong the life of the machine, or if it's maintained by the customer, I suppose badly, will it cause it to break down quicker, I suppose?
What it does is that the HOCO that goes through this is in a saline solution. So when it's in a saline solution, we can pass an electrical resistance through it, and then we actually measure the resistance between the liquid and the difference between the gas in it. And if that difference is always roughly the same or within 80%, we accept it and think life's good, keep working. But if you put a dodgy copy of this in, it's not in saline, so this has a shelf life of a year, and then we break the bond of the saline in this. But if you buy a cheap one off the internet, they only have a shelf life of a month, and once you've exposed it to the air, only a week. So this one, if you put it in a dodgy one in there, this will stop working when the efficiency drops below 80%, and basically give you an error, and then the app will tell you that it's busted and needs fixing. Or if you run out of liquid, it turns off and tells you need to buy more liquid, and then that's where you get recurring revenue in this stuff. If you don't clean it and it becomes so dirty and built up with salt crystals that it doesn't work efficiently, when the efficiency level drops 80% below, it does the same, it thinks it's broken and needs maintenance and turns off. So it doesn't, the dirtiness doesn't reduce its ability, because we can compensate for that 20%. But once it goes beyond the 20%, we can't. So because to get the government standards, we have to actually produce 5 microns of mist coming out, and we have to produce 5.2 milliliters of liquid per meter cubed, and we have to produce so many parts per million. So we can't do it within that range, we turn it off. So it doesn't degrade and get worse, it just turns off. So you fix it. And then you've got to go in with a ultrasonic wand to make a toothbrush, and then brush off the salt, put the isopropyl in or white vinegar, and basically break down salt particles of it.
And to be fair, that one of those should be bought with every SmartMister anyway, because they are going to need to at some point. I mean, we kind of recommend to do it once a month, don't we, to give it a a clean.
Yeah.
But
when you run out of liquid, you take the top off, and then the liquid is here at the moment. You can't see on the camera, but this is really dark purple. It looks black, but it's a UV filter on this one to stop sunlight going into it. But the liquid is down here. So when it drops down, there's a basin in here that holds the remainder of the liquid. And that's when it tells you it's right empty, so that you've got a bit of time to order more, even after this is emptied out. So you take the tank out, basically turn upside, it's dripping because it's not empty, unscrew it, go, fill that one back up. And I can't turn this around to the camera because there's liquid in it, but you go into here, and then wipe around the transducer, there's a heater element in there, wipe off any excess salt, and then batter it with the toothbrush. And as long as you do that, it's just cleanliness.
Yeah.
The big filters and things, those, it's wiping with a microcloth.
I mean, we've got a machine, haven't we? That one of the test machines that we've got, where you literally just leave it on all the time. Yeah,
and this one I haven't cleaned since September last year, and I was forced to clean it 2 weeks ago. So, 2 weeks ago. So September to now, but we don't use this all the time. This one, that it turned itself off, and it basically gave us an error saying that it's not going to work. So it was quite a few months before it degraded that bad. But the test machine has been running for quite a while, and it's really manky inside. And it's roughly speaking, I think it's going to be about 5 to 6 months before it's so bad you have to clean it. Yeah, but it still needs to be clear. And I think you made a good point before, Ray, as well, about the whole product itself. There are other liquids you can, I'm sure you could pour in and they'd work for a couple of days, but you will break the machine if you put anything else in other than. Do you lose your warranty and stuff like that? Because obviously you want people to buy the solution. Absolutely, the warranty will be void. Yeah, the warranty will be absolutely void. And to be honest, it's probably going to break. The one thing that we made sure of is all the development that Ray's done is with the two together. And when the two aren't together, it doesn't work. It's probably going to die.
How many's in a pallet?
24.
24 units of that, and 102 of this. So basically, 2 metric tons of that's in a pallet. So 200 units of that, and then 24 of these.
Yeah, that's right.
It's that'd be funny. I think that's good. This product's going to go through the roof. Can you up the manufacturing as well?
The trick with this is that you need to see it to believe it, because people think, here's some dodgy chemical that's coming out of something. Yeah, And right now, it's not. I'm getting nothing wet on my glasses. It's dry. I know this is odd looking, but this is dry. Yeah, it's not wet, and it's basically I'm breathing in. But if you say to somebody, I'm going to put a fogging thing in or a misting thing, they just think dodgy body chemicals or detergents and think it's bad for you. You put this in it, and the next day they go, my premises really smell nice. They smell clean for the first time in ages. And then the smell of it and the lack of pollens and mushroom spores in the air. My bathing life is mushroom spores. I'm terrified of them.
Exactly. Well, it's changed everything, hasn't it, Ray? I mean, obviously, until this airborne side of it is confirmed, we can't, it's not an official thing that we can say. But as far as Data Direct in Bradford and Data Direct down south are concerned, we've noticed from using this daily, our skin's changed completely. Our plants have gone absolutely nuts. And nobody's had hay fever for a year.
No, you don't get. So in documentation, there's a thing about how it's absorbed into your skin and how it boosts your immune system. So there's basically, you can look up research, and in the University in Edinburgh Royal Infirmary have published a paper in basically inhaling this through a little cloth, how it acts as an antibiotic and actually kills off viruses in your lungs. And there's another one that even talks about inhaling this in a small regular amount, how it stops you getting lung cancer and things. So there's tons of white papers from people. This has been out since the First World War. It just became cheap to make recently in the last 2 years or 1 year. And it's used in food production now, and it's used in water purification, and it's used in fish production.
But I think it's worthwhile just you mentioning as well, Ray, because you slightly touched on it before, what the difference with ours is, because I know even if you open some Hockle, it's gone within a couple of days, you can't use it anymore, whereas ours is completely different.
Yeah, so let's stop there. Yeah, this just opens up and you fill it up. Yeah, you've got a liquid, and that liquid I can drink, I can do whatever. It tastes slightly salty, but that, even if I expose it to indoor light, sunlight's different, but because of UV will kill things, but that there will stay there for a year. So this is encased in saline, so it's like a bonded salt thing. And then we break the bonds using ultrasonic atomizer at 27.5 kilohertz. So we basically, in this, we break the bond of the salt, and then hydrogen goes one way, and etc. But this will last a year, and the cheap stuff you get in powder form or tablet form that you mix with water only lasts for a week. So you've heard of people saying that they'll buy salt and apple cider vinegar, put it in water, and then they use that as a detergent. That's technically what this is. But they only last for an hour or half an hour, and then you can buy Hockle from cheap companies that claim to make Hockle, which is actually the HOC, not HOC small L. It's a slightly different version, and it's made from salt crystals. And this is different. This is electrolyzed. So this one is a year on, especially morning, a year's shelf life as well. So you can sell this and not have to worry about it.
Well, and I think as well, Ray, it's going back.
It almost has a chlorine gas if you don't use it.
Exactly, and I think it's going back to that ultimate thing of, this isn't just a gimmick product. This is to keep people safe, and all the testing that Ray's talking about and the type of SmartMister solution we use is to keep everybody safe, and that's the whole point of the product. So, why would you use something different in it when actually, it's probably going to save you from a lot of problems going forward.
I'm surprised.
I think it's very impressive, Becky. I think it's really good. I loved Ray's presentation. I can't see why we wouldn't sell it. It's an absolute no-brainer. Really, really impressive. The fact that Ray's not keeled over yet, despite all those demisters going all this time, is even more impressive.
There's question. I'm surprised you've not put this in television.
Too many people talking about this.
No, we tried television advertising with this product.
We haven't done anything like that. We don't sell it directly. We rely on dealers to sell it.
Right.
Why we've now gone for trying to do a dealer program so the dealers become more engaged as opposed to someone who just because they've nothing better to do.
And that's we've had some dealers that have got absolutely right behind it and have done some, types of advertising, and they're the ones that have done really well with it.
Yeah.
The ones that have gone back to, what they do, which is obviously copiers, and it's understandable because that's their absolute bread and butter, haven't done so well with it. And that's, again, the reason why we've launched this, because we want to get behind you guys and, we want to help you.
Oh, yeah, because our codes here, our core business is franking machines.
Okay.
Now, you probably well aware, franking machines are really, the next 2 or 3, 4, 5 years are not going to be here. So this is why we're very keen in this product. We would definitely invest and push this. Push this very hard, because it's definitely clever, very clever.
It is, and it's ongoing as well, isn't it, Ray?
And it's lovely and simple.
Yeah,
is it 200 kilos through a?
So people talk to me about. There's an app that we can basically choose a unit. So that's one in Heathrow office. That's one of the customers that I look after.
Yeah.
I can choose a bot and then turn different ones on. I can set schedules. I can change different values of it, and the app can control multiple people. So I can offer a service. I can lease or rent these out to, a high street string of hairdressers and manage it for them. And I can turn it on and off at night. I can see when the liquid's running out, and then I can go back and charge them for refilling it, etc. Exactly. And I can prove to the insurance company they ran it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, and that's the other thing, isn't it, right? It doesn't have to be that you're just selling this as a one-off product. The reason why the liquids are there, etc., is that you can put it on a contract if you want. If you want to lease it, obviously you can do, but if you want to do a rental version of it, you can do, where it includes liquid, that type of thing. There's all different variants, and again, we're happy to help and guide you guys through the best way to do that. There was a couple of points that we missed, Ray, on previously on the Mister itself, was just about positioning. Obviously, you don't want to position it directly under air conditioning or directly under a
So in the user manual, I've drawn a diagram. And that basically says position it here and stay away from, say, like open windows, or if you put it next to the radiator, it runs too quick. And sometimes plants, if you put it next to green leafy plants, it will make them grow 7 to 10 times faster. So you might not want that, because that's more maintenance of plants. And then things like smoke alarms, if you put it directly under a smoke alarm. So if that's a unit and smoke alarms here, some smoke alarms, about 10% maybe, can set those off because it thinks it's effectively smoke. So there's positions to put it in. And then there's I mentioned the sensor on the back of it that tries to work out a room, but it doesn't always get it right, because sometimes there's drafts in rooms and there's open doors and there's things that confuse it. So there's a manual mode that you turn it on or use the app, and you can put it to an auto mode or a manual mode, and then turn the deionizer on as well manually. And that will just kick out a fixed amount, and when it reaches that amount, turn off, fixed amount, turn off. The auto will keep adjusting and create convection currents so that it travels forward. So there is what we call a baby mode, which is unfortunately a Chinese translation of small room, baby, and baby room, and that one will do smaller rooms. So there is a positioning thing in the manual that tells you which mode suits different places.
Okay.
So, but it's pretty easy to understand, and you normally just turn it on, walk around with that and go, yep, it's working here. Count the minutes, and that's how long to set the program up to. So it might be 18 minutes is the ideal time. It's as simple as that.
Can I ask a wee question, Becky and Ray?
Yep.
Just a couple of questions. First one would be, on these systems, do you guys install them, or would you train our engineers to install them, or is it self-installed?
I would say that you can self-install. We've had users that have basically self-installed. We give you a very simple document that's in the box with that laminated A4, and there's only like 4 steps to get the app working and make it work. So people can self-install. The ones that an engineer goes out on site and sets it up and installs it and shows them working, they come back with extra orders for them and extra orders for the liquid. Yeah, but the ones you ship out to, they just come back with little things on Facebook going, it smells really clean. That's,
Right. And you would train our guys then to do that?
Yeah. So And I'm happy if you've got certain customers that, you know, are after all the technical side of it, or want to know the science, or the, like Hitachi Rail, want to know the cost reports, or need to know all the safety things and the accreditation bits behind it. I'm happy to do that with your customer, because that can take quite a long time if you don't know what you're doing with those.
Well, and as we all know, you know, as soon as everyone hears Ray talking about the machine, you know, it makes such a difference when you actually hear it from the horse's mouth. So again, you know, for any resellers, Ray is available. I've just said that. Ray is available when you need him, and can be booked in to do anything like that, where he does something like this for you. You know, no problem at all. We want to get behind you.
One quick data sheet at all.
There is. We have a Dropbox folder. In there, I put all the clip art you can use for your website, all the videos that we've done for your website. I put competitors' products. I put documentation, white papers. I put everything under the sun that I can find in there. There's more. Everybody hates it because there's too much information. But there's also an after-sales sheet, which has got, you know, the British standard numbers we conform to, the size of the room you can use, the coverage, roughly what it is. And then there's the technical specifications of how much power it uses, how much distance, how much liquids. A link to the certificates you can link. And then on the back of it is a simple thing of how to use it. And then 5 common questions and answers that always get asked for everybody. And then a link to some videos so you can watch videos.
The major question that I've come up against is the question around biocide.
Yep.
And questioning what the actual chemical was and the harm. Obviously, you demonstrated this morning that that's not the issue. Is there anything on the data sheet regarding that sort of side of things?
Yes. There's tons on the biocide. This is a biocide. Yeah, it will kill. It does contain bio, so the stuff that's in your belly that dissolves all foreign material, this does contain bio. And when you run this is HOC is the chemical. HOCl is a liquid form, there's a small l. It looks like an HOCI when you read it. So the biocide is HOCl, yeah. Okay. The bio is HOC. And we give you the chemical formula, we give you the safety sheets for it all, and then it's all defined in those. So all those sheets have got everything to do with it, all the safety bits and all the other things.
Right.
This is a food safe and an ingestion safe product, is used as a medical care product as well. So people like Boots the Chemist sell this to squirt on your toes to get rid of fungal infections. The Americans sell this to squirt on your face to, it pulls the fat out of your dermis layer, the 7th layer of the skin, and basically dissolves the fat. It's a degreaser, and they use it as a skincare product. So it's a safe biocide. Yeah, it's not a detergent biocide.
So really, Ray, you're 75, aren't you? Looking at that age.
No, I'm
Perfect. Thank you.
But it's a safe one, but we get millions of documentation on this.
Oh, I know. This is a
Very instructions as well.
Right, would that be something to, is that obviously the FAQs at the back of the information you sent me, is that in that related to the boys? So obviously if that's what there's a Paul there that asked that comment,
yes.
He's coming up, if that's one of the pushbacks he's getting, would that be something obviously maybe to put more to the forefront of people's questions and answers? I suppose if they're asking that question, so you can already I suppose answer it before they need to push back.
We've got a big list which is 6 double pages of questions and answers, and not fluffy ones.
Yeah,
the hard ones are the easy ones, and then it really boils down to 5 questions everybody asks.
Yeah,
you know, is it safe? Does it kill coronavirus? You know, what does it do? There's like 5 standard questions, and that's it. The rest of them are, it's like the hardest one I think I got was, if I put this in the room with oil paintings in it, because I'm a restaurant and I sell oil paintings and they're about £500. Will it damage the oil paintings? You know, there's questions and answers to cover things like that are mostly to do with nothing you think of. And then there's other ones that basically say, will it change the colour of my, I've got dyed hair, will it change into a blue rinse? You know, I've had quite a lot of questions and answers on it.
Yeah. Ray, would it make mine grow back?
In the
It doesn't make it back.
Could use a wee spray just now.
in the approach we've adopted is
I see Toby's ears were pricking up there as well.
A little bit.
using it for 6 months. Yeah, it's just another quick question. The approach we've been using, obviously we're going and speaking to IT people, but the minute we start talking about the health and safety side of things, we're quickly diverted to that part of the business. We've been speaking to a lot of healthcare. Healthcare sector is very big for us. And we get in contact then and approached by the healthcare sort of professional within that environment. And it then becomes way out of my depth and
that was
technical team. It becomes
quite a lot of information.
Yeah.
That's BS 14474 for medical. So that is a lot of information. That took me nearly 4 months to get that one. 14476.
There's a lot of nervousness around that sort of industry as well, making sure they get it absolutely 100% correct, and without the relevant data to hand, it's very difficult to overcome that sort of objection, for want of a better word.
I think that's absolutely spot on as well, is what Ray's just said. And again, it's reiterating back to the work that's gone into this. You know, there's loads of different, you know, ideas about this kind of stuff going out there, but there is nobody that has got all these standards that we can say it's hits and be comfortable saying that it hits because we know that it does it. So that's the difference.
Utmost importance, honestly, with what we've done so far the last 6 weeks.
Sorry, we're one of the beta testers for one of the new ones coming out this year.
Yeah.
Which actually legally starts next Monday. And we got it 9th of January. We got a certificate for it. But that one is a new one coming out just in response to COVID and the future. Yeah.
Sure.
So that's for an automated delivery system of a biocide that will definitely kill germs within under 3 minutes. Legally, on the test, it's 15th of 1 second what we achieved, so we're much better than standard. But we have to kill it within 3 minutes, and we've done it in 15th of 1 second.
Okay, and for multiple devices in an office that's bigger than the 40-50 square meters, and you've got 4 or 5 devices, how many devices can you have on the app in total?
319 active and 1 more as the user. So 320 if you're not giving it to other people, and you can give access to guests so they can control it. The system will only calibrate for 5 concurrent boxes in the same room. The sensors on the back, if I put this here and then 6 meters down the corridor, I put another one, and I turned this one on an hour or half an hour before I turned the second one on. So I didn't turn the second one, when it turns on, will go, oh, wait a minute, I've turned on, I don't need to be on, and it turns off.
Yeah.
So the sensor goes, no, I've already got to saturation point. So I can only control 5 of those in one place, but 319 units in the app in total.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any more questions, anybody?
You spoke about the Dropbox where we can get those data sheets and stuff like that. How do we get access to it?
When you become a dealer, we basically send you a link to all of the after sales sheets and documentation that I've created. And they're all debranded so that you put your own logos on it. And if you want, I can put your logos on it. So they're all debranded, so you put your phone number, your logo, your web address on it.
Yeah, sure.
And then the master documents to create those are on the Dropbox. And we send you an email with a link to them all, the main ones individually, and a link to the one that's got them all in it.
Okay, perfect.
And then you can download that to your own computer, or you can access it as you require it. But if you go into the proof folder or the comparators folder or the good story folder, there's too much information for people to read. Yeah, most people puts them off because I've collected this since last March, and I keep adding things, and everybody goes, there's too much there. But if you're in the main folder, there's like 12 documents, and they're the health and safety report, some certification documentation, and then the sales documentation with technical specs on it. So
or Becky even, has there been any kind of high profile endorsements as of yet? Obviously social media and influencers and etc. Obviously different industries like that. I suppose the beauty industry, hair, nails, all after being under pressure, going to open, I suppose, really in the next week or so. And you know, they like to, I suppose the millennials, the Instagram and social media, you know, they all like to influence. Has there been anyone, has it been sent to anybody or anything? Is that being looked at yet, or anyone endorsing it?
Yeah, it's difficult for us from a point of view of, obviously we don't sell to any end users, but we do know that you know, we've seen it in the NHS, haven't we, Ray? We know it's in there. We know they're using it.
But we didn't know about that until one of our dealers had said, we've seen this on Twitter where they were using it in a vaccination thing. It's like, well, we didn't sell them. We don't know that went there.
Exactly. So, I mean, obviously, we've got on the YouTube channel, we've got one of the Kara's on the YouTube channel that's endorsed it, because it got him back down to 15-minute appointments, didn't it? Rather than
20-minute appointments.
20-minute appointments. So that's on the YouTube channel, but that was, you know, when we initially started doing our testing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was me last year.
We've also got the pub that obviously Ray managed to get back open last year as well. But as in Data Direct and the SmartMister side of it, no, we haven't got anyone that's publicly endorsed it. But you know, the amount that we've now sold, we know what it's doing out there.
It's like someone has said to me, have you sold any into any schools? I go, I don't know. But then a school contacted us to say that we've seen it in this school down in Cornwall, and you know, I really liked it there. So, do you know who put it in the school in Cornwall? No idea, and I have no idea what dealer put it there.
And that's the other thing as well. When you guys become a reseller as well, we do get inquiries incoming. Now, obviously, we don't deal directly with any end users at all. So, dependent on areas, if you guys come to us and say, do you know what, we're doing a really big push on this particular part of the country, or you know, or wherever on this particular sector, tell us the customers, and we will make sure that if we get any incoming from that, we'll pass them straight back to you. If we get any incoming generally, and you haven't told us about it, we will pick up a reseller by the area and give it to that reseller. And I think that's the fairest way of doing it. So if you do have anyone that you're working on in particular, then please let us know, so we can make sure that any incoming that we do have, we can send it straight back to you.
With Northern Services, would it be exclusive for us in Scotland, this product?
I don't understand that. Say again.
Hello?
Other people, anybody that's not talking, mute their mics, because otherwise it's to us, we get 4 or 5 people talking at once.
Yeah. Northern Services have the product exclusive for Scotland.
No.
Do you have any other dealers in Scotland?
The more the problem is, it's not about having, because resellers, obviously we've only launched it this week, so the issue is that actually, you know, we might have a dealer that's based in London, but and they're selling into London, but they've got customers up in Scotland, so they probably will, you know, have, you know, if they sell it as a group, it probably will go up into Scotland as well. So we can't specifically give you exclusivity. What we can do is what we're doing at the moment, which is make sure that it is only resellers that we're giving this opportunity to, and that we try and make sure that we keep the pricing where it should be, and you know, everyone's looked after. We can't unfortunately go, right, it's exclusive, unless you're going to say you're going to order 500 of them off us. It's very difficult to give exclusivity like that.
Okay. So we can sell anywhere in the UK as well then, yeah? Yeah, okay.
But the one thing, I mean, and I know I said that we're not going to talk about pricing. I'm really not actually going to speak specifics here, but we've got no problem with you guys selling it at whatever price you want to. The only thing that we do say is that you don't advertise it below what it should be advertised at. You know, I think everybody should have a level as a salesperson. You know, if somebody's you know, a proper reseller and doing it in the right way, then they have the relationship with someone and they can do whatever, you know, what they want with that product. I don't think it should be that someone could then just trot in and undercut them. So, you know.
So Becky, is that have you got an RRP? Because obviously, because it's only devaluing the brand really, and then it becomes a race to the bottom. And we all want to make money. Everyone's got to be, I suppose, chasing business. But so will there be set pricing there that we can't go below? That's good. I like.
But it's not set price that you can't go below. It's set pricing that we say that we would prefer that you wouldn't advertise below. And what we will do is when people come to us and say, oh, actually somebody's got it on the internet at X price, we'll speak to that customer and say, you know, we'll either not sell it to you anymore, or you know, we'll certainly speak to everyone who does it. So you know, when we're talking about Scotland, for example, people having exclusivity up in Scotland or not. You know, you as a company in Scotland will probably sell more because you're from Scotland, but because you're selling at the same price as everyone else, you know, someone in England coming up and undercutting you isn't the point of it. You know, what it should be is that actually we're buying from people and locally, all at the same price.
Yeah. Okay.
Becky, on the obviously the partnership, we're all looking to sell right across the country here. The issues that I've had over the last 12 years working with DocuWare have been squashed by, for example, if we've got a major client based up in Scotland, not that we have, guys, but if we did have, and I've been speaking to them about SmartMister on a variety of levels, if I logged that centrally, and this is what works with the DocuWare software, that would be me dealing with them. So basically all 5 of us wouldn't go after the same client. Is that something that's being considered going forward?
That's not something that's been mentioned, but actually, you know, it's a fairly good idea. I mean, obviously, as Data Direct, our plan is, and as SmartMister, right, is that you know we make sure that anything incoming, as long as you tell us that you're working on it, anything incoming to Data Direct or SmartMister will be directed back to you.
Obviously, we have to prove that we're speaking with that client and how far that conversation is down the track, etc. But what it does do, it stops that sort of Dutch auction of 3 or 4 SmartMister resellers all speaking to the same customer, and then it's sort of spiraling out of control. It's worked really, really effectively with DocuWare, and I must say, up until they brought in DocuWare Direct up north, and then of course it became a bit of a bun fight. But prior to that, it works exceptionally well. So, for example, if the guys up in Scotland, Alan and the guys up there are speaking to one of the major clients, we would know that they're being spoken to, and we would steer clear, basically. And that works. It makes it more professional as well.
Which is fair enough. Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
And I think that's better. That is, you know, I'll definitely put that to everyone, because I think that's a better way of doing it. You know, the idea of giving people exclusivity is, you know, great, but actually that way of doing it is much better because it means that someone's already speaking to someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
How many dealers are you going to have, Becky?
What, sorry, Tony?
How many dealers are you going to have?
That's my next question, Tony. Thank you.
And how many do I need to sell?
Well, obviously the documentation.
And are you going to take half my business if I don't? Are you going to come and stalk me around Doncaster with your new skin and everything that you've got and you
recognise that.
You know, there had to be one of my customers on that I knew would give me some. Yeah, thanks, Tony.
You've got a lot younger since you were 18.
Well, yeah, there you go. There you go.
SmartMister for you.
So, as far as the resellers are concerned, at the moment we're not sure. What we want to do is make sure that it's fair on everyone. We're not going to all of a sudden, you know, if we get hundreds and hundreds, then you know we'll look at it. But there is stipulations within what you've got to do. So actually, I think it'll be a much more a spread out version of the way it should be, rather than it being actually bunched up. And what will happen is we'll get rid of people that, you know, want to sell it on the internet because they won't be able to commit to the kind of things that we're talking about, and just be the people that actually are really going to get behind it and push it forward. So
we have 26 people on here, and that's probably double the amount of dealers selling DocuWare across the country. So yeah, I mean, we all, I think, can agree this could go exceptionally well, you know, when you think about the opportunities, and even some of the people that I've spoken to, it could be absolutely phenomenal. But what we don't want is 100 different dealers out there all doing it, because it dilutes what we can do.
Agreed, and that's the whole point of the reseller program, is rather than it being, you know, somebody that can just pop it on the internet. That's not the point of it. It is a product that really needs to be sold. And like I say, the range is getting bigger. It will continue to get bigger. You know, this guy, I don't know whether he's on my left or my right, but Ray, you know, is such a great guy as far as, you know, the inventing of all this kind of range is concerned. And I can only see he'll be positive to all of you guys.
So Toby, can you get our partnership agreement signed, please, and sent back in to Becky?
Yes, sir.
Well, so what we'll do is we'll start wrapping it up now, if that's all right with everyone.
Becky, before you go, I've got something to ask. So I watched this presentation last time, and I took one of these to one of my biggest customers, put it into their head office, followed all the instructions to set it up and everything with the customer. And then the finance director got a phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning, and all the smoke alarms were going off on the got the call out from the fire engine. So sorry, from the fire service. So how do we? So they only set it on for, I think, for an hour in total.
How big was the place, Ray? I suppose you're better off answering that than me.
It's a pretty big office.
So I've had ones that we've put in, and within 3 minutes it sets smoke alarms off. And whatever I do, I can't fix that, and it just sets them off. And it's the type of smoke alarms. And I've had other ones we put into same company, well, it's like the same smoke alarms, and they don't go off. So it's a bit of a pain in the neck, that one. All you can do with that is change position and don't use the heating side of it. There's an automatic heater in it, and that confuses the smoke alarms because it detects a change in temperature rapidly. So if the smoke alarm goes off really quickly, you've got to manually turn the heater off in the app or the unit, and it turns on automatically by itself. And I found out recently that that sets off a lot of the smoke alarms because it sees a rapid change in temperature, as well as the mist goes inside the smoke alarm, and the light that's shining through gets blocked, so they go off. I have got another model that does not set smoke alarms off coming out in the future. So it does a different thing, and we will have something different. And I'm hoping that I can get it into all of this as well. But right now, you'll get ones that will set off and you can't fix. And as soon as it sets that smoke alarm off, you've lost the customers of trust. They just don't believe you anymore.
As well, I mean, what we've got to remember as well, I know Ray's obviously just mentioned another one, but actually the SmartMister is the one that signed off to do what we're saying it does. You know, the one that we're talking about doesn't come out at the same levels.
Yeah.
And things like that, so.
When I'm saying that, I mean, I'm going to modify this in the future so that it works in a slightly different way and it won't set off smoke alarms. Effectively going to change the way the heating element works, so this will eventually evolve into it.
Yeah, and I think as well, I mean, we know that there are machines in the NHS. There's one in particular I know that's in a lab, and they have offices pretty similar to here. And it actually only needs to be on for 20 minutes, doesn't it, in there? And they left it on for well over an hour in one of these rooms. And it was pretty much like something out of Stars in Their Eyes when one of the staff actually walked in to find it. But it didn't set one smoke alarm off. And the reason being is basically how good your smoke alarms are, because the smoke alarm that was in there detected that it wasn't smoke.
Yeah.
You know, so there is an element of that as well. So we need to make sure that, you know, we're putting it in a place that's right for the machine.
Right, turning off the smoke, the heat elements in the machine, does that affect its actual effectiveness?
It does. It means it might end up being on longer when you put it in auto mode. So first of all, if you bought one of these before, I think it was January the 9th, yeah, then the manual and the rules on it were based on the government old levels, which was 10.5 millilitres of liquid per blah. And then after that, it became 5 milliliters. So now it generally doesn't set smoke alarms off, where before January they did, because they were putting too much density of the material in the air. Now it doesn't do that. And the sensor on the back, it used to basically have to completely cover, so the mist was much thicker before than it is now. Now we've got the same amount of liquid, but the mist is finer in it. And it means that it also goes further as well. So it's changed since January as well. So you might find that you take this model now, go back into the same place. We did one for a company, Flying Fish, put it in there, and it sets the smoke alarm off. And then basically put that in a different setting, which didn't have the automatic setting in, and it didn't set the smoke alarm off. And both were identical looking models. It's just that there's a change in the government regulations now.
I think you're right. I think Chris has mentioned something. Chris just messaged me as well, saying that he's got a customer who sells them into estate agents that had a problem with smoke alarms to start with, and they just, like you say, just changed the settings slightly on it, and away it went again. So absolutely.
Yeah. So it turns out that there's certain smoke alarms, the ones that come from Screwfix, that cost $3 US, and Screwfix sell for £17. And those ones basically look at the ions in the air, and because this has got an ion generator in it, it was confusing them. So it turns out all you got to do with those ones, which I didn't know before sort of February, is touch that button off. So when the machine's on, touch that, the little symbol's red becomes not red, and it doesn't set smoke alarms off.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know that before February. The people that make the smoke alarms, we contacted lots of them. Most don't get back to you, and the ones that did explained how they work, etc. And I've adjusted the firmware in this to basically suit the smoke alarms now. So the ions and the mist work in a slightly different way than they used to.
Can you give a little trouble, kind of, I suppose, give the customers a little troubleshooting document or something to let them know if it affects your? Because the last thing, as I said, was, I think it was Paul, was it, that made that comment, is you could get a couple of customers in close to each other, and they set it up, and all of a sudden there's a smoke alarms going off, and
you just lose that customer then there and then.
Yeah, and then bad publicity spreads pretty quickly, and
it does.
We fighting fires, for want of a better word.
We bought about 7 different manufacturers' smoke alarms, and I've got them set up in one of the rooms here, and I've been testing them one by one to see which ones set off and not. And all 7 that I bought, not one of them went off. And then we've got one in our building, only one out of them all that goes off. So I've taken that off of the ceiling and put it in the room, and it still goes off. That's great. And then I went to that same company and bought another one to replace on the ceiling, and it doesn't go off anymore, and it's the same product. So the smoke alarm itself goes off, and it shouldn't. So it's a bit of a hit or miss thing. I've got it so that before it used to be a bit of a problem, it would happen occasionally, and now it hardly ever happens, because bit by bit I'm finding out how it works, and then changing these things so that it doesn't do it as well.
So it sets the sprinklers off. Do they sue me or you?
It doesn't set sprinklers off.
Thank God for that.
There's no
how to kill a sales presentation when you're in the boardroom.
No, it doesn't do that. It's only the smoke alarms, and we've had it where it can confuse some. If the fire detection alarm and the intruder alarm both trigger, it thinks there's a fire. And because there was a heater in this that was heating up, there was a rapid change in temperature. And then because the ions went into the thing, that went, and the 2 sensors together in buildings that had a wired version went off. That's when they went off.
I think the thing is, we all have to be a little bit, savvy with this kind of thing. I mean, we've had our machine, well, we've got 2 machines in Bradford now for near on a year, and a smoke alarm has only gone off once, and that was because Stuart left it on for 24 hours. Now, I would expect in that time it probably would. So we all have to be a little bit savvy with this. The machine actually, ultimately, what it's doing is keeping you safe. So don't leave it on for too long. Leave it on for the allotted time that it's
I sold my first one last week, as you well know, Becky.
Yeah.
And I put it into the customers. I was a bit skeptical, to be honest with you. And we put it on for about, the room, I think, was about 10 meters by 10 meters. We put it on for about 3 minutes, and you could actually see the mist in the air. And the customer was just like, I can't believe it. Because when we first put it on, it looks like it's just drifting down and it's going down to the ground. But actually, when you step out the room and walk back in, you can actually see the mist in the room, which was quite amazing. The customer's like now ringing me going, somebody else is going to ring you, and somebody else is. So it's one of them things, but you know, it's like I say, you know, my main business is copiers and IT. And this, you know, if you want me to sell 50 of them a month, you know, I ain't got time to do that. But I can see the benefits of being a dealer for it for definite.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, what Ray's put all this, you know, the product to is the highest government standard to get it to the sanitized version, which is the timing that it says on there. But actually, in all realisticness, to get it,
it's much less.
It's much less than what it actually says on there. So, you know, let's just make sure we all realise what this machine is for.
Yeah.
Tony, sorry, Tony, did you find that have you sold any of these without actually having to demonstrate it, or is it all something that you definitely have to bring?
I've only sold one, but I just basically I bought one and I thought I'll take a punt on it. They'll probably have it anyway, because you get the general gist of the people that would need these type of things. It was a charity, and basically they have a lot of volunteers and they wanted to keep the volunteers safe. So I literally took a punt on one, and then I took them in. And then when I got there, she says, I'll have another 2 of these small ones for little meeting rooms that they've got. And I rang her yesterday, actually. And she said, oh, it's fantastic. We've been putting it on just before we leave on a night, just for 10 minutes, because honestly, they won't be able to use the app, let alone get it on the phones. I mean, I did it. It's dead easy. It's dead easy, honestly, but charity sector not being horrible, but yeah, they basically couldn't do it. So they just literally switch it on just before they go. They've got a nursery and a food bank, and they just move it from one to the other and do it for 10 minutes in each room. And I think I'd like to have a go with one of the meters and see how much coverage it is, but I think just for 10 minutes it's enough. And they were sold, and I've had 2 phone calls already from different people saying, you know, can you show me one and stuff.
Well, and that's the thing, Tony. And when we go back to the point of do you have to sell it? Now, obviously, you know, you're not going to need me and Ray to do it every time, but it's not something that people buy off the internet. It really isn't, because, you know, you look at all those things and actually, is that right? Because we all go, oh God, yeah, everything that we read, is it true? But actually, when you go out and physically sell it to these guys and tell them about it, you know, it's amazing how many you can sell. So it is something that really needs to be sold.
I thought it was dead easy to show the customer. It's dead easy to demonstrate because it's a physical thing. It's a bit, you know, you actually see it doing it. And then when the customer walks back in after 10 minutes, they can see this mist in the air.
It's the smell as well, isn't it?
It smells nice. And so, yeah, I think your technology is the thing you've got to convince that's working. That's the issue.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that the product makes the mist go everywhere, but does it work? That's what you've got to convince them about, that the technology, the actual cleaner is cleaning. And that's something I can't tell them, because you can
do physical things like put a piece of bacon out in the sun for 2 days before you do a demo, and it grows blue spores about that tall, and then basically take that in a little Tupperware thing, put it into the room, turn this on, and within 3 minutes all the spores are dead.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Wow, that's a great demonstration. I can't wait to do that.
It just means that you've got to have live culture.
We do it on the coffee that people leave on the side in here, and it grows the mushroom on the top.
So
that annoys me.
I went to a thing up in Scotland that grows mushrooms. So Scotland is the largest European manufacturer of mushrooms, and it's the leading one in the entire world for mushroom science. And it's the scariest subject I've ever been involved in. I'm now scared of mushrooms. They're taking over the planet. And this place in Scotland, in Fife, is the head of it all. And yeah, I've worked with live mushroom cultures, and you can watch them die in front of your eyes. It's pretty cool.
Would you be able to eat it again?
Once the mushroom's dead, they change the taste. It doesn't change the taste of citrus things or apples or any, but it does change the taste of mushrooms. And it does change the taste of pork. So it doesn't fish and lots of other things with pork it does, because pork you eat a bacteria as part of eating it. So when you cook pork, bacon, it comes out white, little fluffy stuff, and that's basically a bacteria that's been burnt off. Unless it's screaming. So that changes.
Okay, don't tell me about that, Ray. I don't want to know about that.
Can I mention one thing for the Scottish guys? So this is for Scotland only. It doesn't apply really to this part of England. But midges for a certain season in Scotland are a problem, and mosquitoes, yeah, and they live on CO2, and this basically reorders CO2 in air, so it gets rid of the bad CO2. It increases your cognitive abilities. You can actually think quicker when this has been running, and that's not what we sell it for, but it does that anyway. But this will basically remove the CO2 from the air, and therefore midges will leave the place they won't have. They hate it.
Can you give me a camping version, please?
You can't use it outdoors in sunlight, but any indoor thing like a caravan, a holiday home, your house, you won't get any midges or any mosquitoes going anywhere near it. Yeah, and although this has been off for quite a long time, it's still well above the government limits. Yeah, so that'll be there for a good 3 hours afterwards. So there'll be no mosquitoes, no midges in this room for at least more 3 hours. And I've only had that on for a few minutes in this room.
You get is it only good for wasps right now?
It doesn't do wasps. No, unfortunately, it doesn't do wasps because wasps are basically after they're after a sugar that is in saliva and things that you spit out. So they come near people because they're detecting the saliva you're spitting out in the aerosol. But midges and mosquitoes are after the CO2, and this destroys CO2. So no midges. Not that we're selling it for that. We're selling it as a surface sanitizer.
Yeah,
that's an additional benefit.
In Scotland, it's quite a big one. So holiday homes and caravans, and Gloyloch Lomond and all the caravans around there, 600 of them.
Surely it'll work in my tent then.
Well, and again, you look at the big Mister, which is obviously the one for offices and things, but these kind of ones, every kind of like lorry or like holiday homes or all these kind of things. Taxis, are all things that we should be putting them in. So yeah, there's loads of opportunity for everybody, loads of opportunity. So unless we've got any more questions, we will start to wrap it up if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Cool. So just put this punch. Stuart's just messaged me saying this punch could keep me going for hours. I'm loving the fun.
The mushroom thing, I'm going to have to have a look at the mushroom thing, because I think that's an advertising thing, because I'm a fun guy, and
love it.
He's here all week.
Anyway, I'm off now.
What we'll do is we will send everyone through a video of what's happened today, so you can see it. We'll give you access to the YouTube channel. We'll also send you through the dealer reseller program if you want to sign up. And like I say, if you sign up for that, you will receive a free one of these to give to one of your engineers to go out there and keep him safe, but also, or her, but also as an advertising tool for you guys as well. So from me and Ray, I pretty much want to wish you all luck, because I think you could all, from the sounds of what you guys have all said, you've all got some great sales guys that are going to get behind this. You think, Ray?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So just go out and chat with doors and show them it, and everybody that you show it when you chat the door generally buys it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you need it for anything, obviously contact
No pressure, Ray, no. No pressure. I'm glad you're not my sales manager.
That's what people in commission only, go and flog it.
Yeah, good luck to everybody, and like I say, if you need us for anything, we are absolutely right behind you to try and help you make this work for you all. So take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Brilliant.
Bye bye.